No agency, no freelancer, no consultant will help you find product market fit. It will never be worth it. That is a founder's struggle and journey. You need to do that hard work yourself. You need to get off the ground. You need to get to that first 100K on your own.
Hey everyone, this is Nazar Akil from Max Pro.
Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Paul.
And we're 11 Pebbles.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, and you're listening.
And you are listening
to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Maff.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I'm joined by the amazing Chase Clymer, who is the co-founder of Electric Eye and also a podcast host himself of Honest E-Commerce. Chase, how you doing? You ready for a good show?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this. So, I love always having other podcast hosts on the show because the banter is always so much fun. So, but why don't we let you kind of intro yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, obviously Electric Eye, your podcast, and we'll kind of kick it off from there, okay?
Absolutely. My name's Chase Clymer. I'm a terrible golfer. I'm a nerd. I like playing Magic the Gathering. And I'm also the host of Honest E-Commerce, which is probably the only way that any listener might have heard of me. It's a fantastic show. We interview brand founders that kind of have something cool going on, tell their story, and kind of just like how the heck they did it. We also do a lot of bonus episodes where I interview subject matter experts or vendors in the e-commerce ecosystem. Those are always fun. And then my real job is I'm one of the co-founders of Electric Eye. We're basically a design and optimization agency for e-commerce stores. We just build beautiful Shopify themes that are super performant, optimized for sales, or optimize existing stores. A lot of people like to call it CRO. And those are the two things we're really good at over there.
Beautiful. Obviously, really appreciate having you on the show. You run your podcast very similar to ours because we do the exact same thing. Typically, we're interviewing other merchants or other brands, seeing what's going on with them. And every now and then, we like to have other people like yourself on the show, which is fantastic. What is some of the craziest stuff you've had on your show? What's like you got a few good episodes where you're like, oh man, that was a good one.
Well, what is it? Today is Wednesday. Yesterday we released the episode I did with Smile Direct Club, so that one was pretty notable.
Oh, there you
that
go.
Might have been that is probably up there as one of our biggest guests. I believe. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's some like cool people that I've interviewed that I just like because I'm a nerd. I liked. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that one's pretty noticeable. I got a few in the can. See, here's the thing. I'm like really ahead of the game when it comes to these recordings. So I have 6 months in the can, which is 30 episodes almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know if some of these are out yet. So I can't, unless I pull it up, I don't want to like spill the beans.
Wow. So you get way ahead. Usually we're only about a month or two ahead. You're 6 months out.
With the recordings, not with the editing. But I did that on purpose just because Q3 and Q4 are just insane for e-commerce. So that's like a lot of get stuff done for our clients. And I used to do a lot of outreach to get guests, and now I've evolved, and now I'm on all these awesome PR lists, and people come to me, so it's a lot easier.
Hence why you're here, right?
Exactly.
Shameless plug. So what made you start? Well, what came first, the podcast or Electric Eye?
The agency, absolutely. We started the agency, I want to say 2016, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was honestly just like we needed a name because taxes, straight up. It was me and my partner, Sean, and then we kind of started to take stuff seriously 2 years later, maybe. We kind of read Traction. We read Profit First. We started to learn about EOS and actually running a real business. We made our first key hire, Andrew. And Andrew was like, hey, Chase, you really like talking, but I noticed you don't have the focus to actually write blogs. And I was like, you are correct. So there's this new thing called podcasting, and we thought we'd give it a try. And it was a very, very, very good idea.
Nice. So Electric Eye, obviously you're catering kind of to, primarily Shopify or solely Shopify?
Our like Electric Eye, like as far as our services go, we only work with Shopify stores. Like the only reason we'll touch other stores is if like we're migrating them off another platform, if Shopify is going to solve kind of their use case. So, but yeah, they're like our our design team is like strictly Shopify. All of our e-commerce, our development team is all Shopify. All of our e-commerce design is like strictly like e-commerce UX. We definitely try to stay just in our lane.
Yeah. And solely website design, you're not venturing into like paid advertising or social media or anything along those lines?
In the past we had, so we kind of did an 80-20 look at ourselves this last year, saw that a lot of our business was coming from the optimization stuff and these website builds. And, then we had to talk with our team. I called some competitors. I used air quotes for those listening. And got a really smart guy on our team a job at a competitor, and we sunset all of our marketing offerings and went all in on optimizations and building beautiful themes.
Well, it was really nice. So you actually reached out to your competitors and helped people find jobs that obviously, if you were more or less, I don't want to say downsizing, but kind of pivoting a little bit.
Yeah,
you were able to help them
I
out.
DM'd him on, and I said, "Hey, I know you." I didn't say I know you know who I am, but I was like, I know you'll respond is kind of what I knew. And I was like, you have to hire this guy. He's fantastic. And I just explained to him exactly what we were doing, and I was like, give him an interview, please.
Yeah.
And he hired him, so I was very happy.
There you go. So what makes, Electric Eye like the place to go to for Shopify design development?
We respond to our clients. That's like the number one feedback we get from our clients is that like we have a really good response time, and we actually care. Like getting a hold of your, whoever your point of contact at the agency seems to be the biggest pain point with a lot of these people. And when you're spending thousands of dollars a month with some of these relationships, like, someone should get back to you. Our like internal, we try to respond within like a business day. Like that's what we say up front, but like we're trying to respond within like an hour or two, and even if it's just like, hey, we saw your thing, like that's enough to be said.
Yeah. That's very interesting that is the case, and that like no one's being responsive. So
I mean, it also helps that we're really good at what we do.
Well, obviously, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You'd be solely doing the podcast. So obviously, that's a relatively crowded space, right? Like website design, development, God knows how many agencies are out there. I have one, so here's one right here. Like that, to be solely focused on the design development side, how many websites and complete overhauls have you guys pretty much done since, I think you said 2016?
Oh man, 2016, hundreds of sites we've touched. But like I remember when Mike joined our team, he's our lead developer. He joined the team 2 or 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. And he was like, just looking back, and it was 66 GitHub repos that he had integrated with by the end of the year, because he started January 1. And he was like, that is insane to me. And I always think back at that. And so that may be an answer. So that was just in 1 year, but like that isn't full website builds, right? Some of that's like fixing stuff and all sorts of weird things. But, we're definitely, that makes us sound like a little bit of a larger or like more of a churn and burn agency, which isn't necessarily true. These days, it's definitely more of a long-term partnership. We're working with bigger brands and like kind of focusing on their conversion rate and their average order value. And like, how do we make these things better?
To say, what is the ongoing changes that you guys are consistently making? Like obviously doing a complete website overhaul and all that stuff makes a lot of sense. But then after that's been completed, are you leveraging like some kind of like heat map process and just tracking that and adjusting stuff? Like what does the ongoing changes look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, not everybody that reaches out to an agency or like everyone that reaches out to you, they're just like, we're doing things, we want to do it better. That's, if you just keep like peeling it back, that's the exact request you get from everybody that wants to work with an agency. It's like, you're an expert, you should be able to help us. But not everyone has the budget or is at a place where they really need to do a whole website build. Sometimes that is the case. It's like, this is if we were going to talk about conversion rate optimization, step 1, build a better mousetrap. This is a bad place to start. But sometimes, they have an okay mousetrap and you're just going to hop in there. And then, yes, you hit the nail on the head. Heat maps, analytics, customer interviews. We're getting into the data. We're using our brains. We're being smart. Like there's the whole thing of we're experts. That's the heuristic elements of CRO of just like, this is against best practices. I don't even have to test this. I just know that this is wrong. But then it's like, there is this weird thing where it's like, it's a working relationship and there is kind of money transacting here, and sometimes you're recommending things that are above their budget allocation. So if it's just like, we're the experts and you need to build a better bundling solution that's custom because that's what is going to help do the goals we both want, and to them it just sounds like we want more money to do this thing. We don't like to approach it that way. We like to do it a sneaky way, which is not sneaky. It's like, we're going to find your customers failing to use the out of the box bundling solution, or reviews that said it was hard to order this bundle, or people like a Hotjar recording where someone is fumbling with the interface, or a customer interview where they're just like, I almost didn't buy because, or actually you even get people abandoning carts that will leave things like, I didn't buy because this isn't user friendly, right? So you come at them with this qualitative and quantitative data of their customers showing and highlighting problems with the website, and then we go, cool, let's fix this, and you hypothesize on like how to solve that problem. That's fun stuff.
So you're letting the customers do the selling for you, which is smart, and that makes the most sense.
Yeah. So a lot of our engagements is like, it's strategy driven, and it's then we're coming up with all these ideas, and together with the customer, we're prioritizing that priority list of what do we think is going to pull the lever that we want to work on right now, or what's the most important. And then while we're doing that stuff, there's always just crap going on that needs to get updated. They're adding a new product. They need to work on this product page, or something broke, or there's a new update to the app in the ecosystem that needs to be, messed with. So definitely kind of just an extension of the other team from like a strategic optimization and development kind of point of view.
Do you get pushback from any sellers regarding doing interviews for customers, or do you typically implement some kind of survey aspect to the post-purchase or anything along those lines to actually get that
you
data
ask
in?
It, like, when's the last time someone did customer interviews, and then they go never, and you go, okay, well, we have to do that, and then you have to just educate them why. If there's a pushback, it's people are quirky, and you have to just tell them the goals with it and why.
At
the end of the day, it's to make your website better, to make people buy stuff more.
What do you find is one of the like main things that's constantly just wrong with some of these sites?
I mean, it's like there is always something wrong because they're too close to the website. Like, they don't interact with it on their phone. They're always on desktop. They're always in the back end. They're not actually using the website as if they were a customer using it for the first time. Actually, when people reach out to us through our contact form at electriceye.io, like, I immediately go to their website and I like start recording my screen because it's my first interaction with it, and it's literally those first things you'll notice like goofy stuff, and I like try to talk out loud and like catch things that are weird to me from my first interaction, because the second time you're already used to whatever it was, and it maybe not even registered, and by the 100th time as a store owner or marketing manager or whatever, you're so used to how the website works. It's always worked that way. You think that it makes sense, but to like the new customer, it doesn't. It makes no sense, and they're confused, and that's why your conversion rate's low.
That makes a lot of sense. What's your stance on like overabundance of features? Like, I know some sites, I always use like Fanatics as an example. When you go to their site and it's like they have the banner of this is on sale, but only for a short time, and there's a countdown, and then there's a pop-up here, and then you have a bundle option, then you have a subscription option, then you have like 6 different ways you can pay. Like, at what point do you sit down and tell a seller, like, you're offering too much options?
I mean, here's the thing. It like all of that and everything I just said, all of it needs to be split tested, right? Like, that's the real answer at the end of the day. But you are saying a truth, Andrew, which is like, you present too many options, it gets confusing, and you're going to give your customers analysis paralysis. So you do want it to be streamlined. You never want to put friction in the buying journey, and you want it to just kind of like make sense and have them do what you want them to do. And a lot of the merchants, like, comparing Fanatics to a $3 million a year boutique beauty brand is apples to oranges. They are at completely different stages of growth, completely different stages of traffic, first of all. So it's a little hard to kind of understand what is going to be the best for the customer. Now, like, the abundance of features is they're going to throw me down the rabbit hole tangent of like, there's an app for that, which is what the Shopify ecosystem teaches us, right? But everyone will install and uninstall all these apps to try to find something to solve the problem they want, and then they don't find it, and then they finally hire someone to build the thing they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all those that dozen apps you just installed, all of them installed code into your theme, JavaScript into your theme. Your load time is now way lower. It's got 12 more things it's loading that it isn't using, and you've created a spaghetti mess of code that a developer has to wade through to fix stuff, right? And that's just one time. Like if you're talking about a theme that you've had for 2 years, there's so much gobbledygook in there that a developer, a team doesn't really want to like. It's more work to fix that than it is to start over at times, and that's just the truth. And you've been in this game a long time too. It's like sometimes you have to be the first person to tell someone that what they have is terrible and they need to start over. They're not going to hire you, but you just made it easier for the next person to tell them the exact same thing.
Yeah. And they should thank us for it. That's too common to tell them like, this is horrible. Please don't make me work with this. What, I just lost my train of thought. I knew I had something I wanted to ask you. Oh, you'd mentioned, obviously you use the boutique as an example from Fanatics. What is like the ideal client that you guys work with at Electric Eye?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't really work with startups per se anymore. Now, when I say startups, I'm talking about like $0 to $1 million a year. Like you are still trying to find product market fit. And this is a take that I will take to my grave. Here's my stance. No agency, no freelancer, no consultant will help you find product market fit. It will never be worth it. That is a founder's struggle and journey. You need to do that hard work yourself. You need to get off the ground. You need to get to that first 100K on your own. Like you can't outsource creating a business because someone would just do it for themselves and cut you out. Like why would they do that? Just think about it a little bit larger. Like that, it's a dumb consideration. Like you have to go do that work. Now, where we come in is we are looking at the data, right? We're like, we need customers, we need sales, we need stuff to make informed decisions. Yeah. And we kind of just drew a line at the sand at like $1 million a year. So that's kind of where things start with us. But, a couple million up to like 10, 15. Like at that point, people are starting to bring a lot of what we do in house. And we still work with some larger brands, don't get me wrong. But just kind of where things are in the market, our job is usually not outsourced anymore when brands start to get into that, 8 figures and beyond.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And you're not sticking to any specific like category, right? It's just, you're kind of looking in that million to 10 million range.
Well, I guess I can get a little more finite on the verticals. Like we're extremely good at fashion, apparel, accessories, and like beauty. I already spoke on earlier, jewelry, like the more kind of lifestyle, lean more towards a luxury with a healthy margin product versus like, not the best fit for like say a fast fashion or like a commoditized, bodega of the internet, a marketplace, not really a good fit. That's kind of a very long answer to your question.
Yeah. Do you find that like sellers with larger product lines are typically the ones that require more optimizations because of all the difficulties around navigation and all that fun stuff? Or are you seeing basically equal issues with someone who's got like a handful of products?
You know what? If it's like a larger product line, but it's like, they're manufacturing it or sourcing or building it themselves, like not really, because you approach it the same way you want to approach everything with like an 80-20 rule. So like what's the thing that's really going to move the needle here? It's like, all right, well, these are the 3 flagship products. We're going to focus on these for the first time because that's where all the wins are going to be. They just kind of have different paths to success. Like if you got a really, like say you got a single product store, like you're like, okay, like the funnel's real simple here and we can get a little more granular on the customer profiles. Whereas, if you've got a lot of different offerings that are solving for different people, you're like, all right, well, which one's going to be most impactful?
Yeah. Where do you see sites going as time goes on? Actually, let me caveat that. So I got a theory. Stay with me. So I've done this for years where I was a big fan of underneath the buy now button, typically on your product page, adding some kind of like available on Amazon, available on Walmart, etc. Typically for in the same general area of where you're at, right? Like someone who's kind of doing like the 1 to 5 million, maybe solely on Amazon. And now we're kind of venturing off. Well, actually, that actually does bring up another question. So you said your ideal audience tends to be in like the 1 to 10 million area. Is that solely on their Shopify site, or are you including if they're doing on Amazon or Walmart or anywhere else?
That's a great question. I guess I would include it kind of, because that helps to prove there's product market fit and there's, opportunity for them to invest some of that profit in scaling stuff. We only are touching the Shopify store, the direct consumer experience there. So all of our advice is more about that owned experience. But going back to your question about like adding the Amazon kind of CTA under the call to action, I know a lot about that I literally cannot speak about.
So, because Amazon actually about was like a month, maybe 2 months ago, they released the Buy with Prime button now, where it's essentially a JavaScript code that you add to the site and it links over to the listing. And I'm kind of starting to realize, like, you think about the Chewies of the world or the Wayfairs, where they're starting to break out categories of products and basically building marketplaces that cater to certain types of, product lines. And I'm curious if your thought is similar to mine, whereas I have a feeling that as time goes on, we're going to see a bunch of different marketplaces or similar types of other websites where people can go shop multiple types of products. And the websites are almost going to become like a showcase of the brand. And then it's going to list like, you can buy on the site. Obviously, you want to put all the bells and whistles on the site to try to get them to convert because you want to keep the customer. But are we going to start giving them the option to go shop wherever they're most comfortable if they have a Prime account or if they like Walmart or eBay or whatever they choose to go to? What's your theory on how sites will kind of migrate as time goes on?
I think that's just kind of an evolution of what a popular strategy is for mature brands, which is the omni-channel strategy. I just think that's a kind of like a potentially a next step, a next evolution of what that might become. And just a very easy response is like, just sell your customers the products where they are. You know what I mean? If your customer is on Amazon and you're not on Amazon, you're leaving money on the table. But I will say that as a branded product and lifestyle brands and the stuff that we work with, I think that you have to try really hard to stand out with, say, a t-shirt brand on Amazon, because you're competing against the barrier of entry there is super low. And you're winning loyalty based upon your story and branding, which is hard to deliver that experience on a very controlled site, product page like Amazon or et cetera. Whereas you can really invest in that kind of telling that story on an experience where you have full control, like a Shopify store.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that. Chase, thank you so much for being on the show. I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Andrew, I had a blast. Like I said in the pre-recording, I love being on this side of the mic and just rambling and not having to think.
Changing it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
So then this next step where I say, hey, do you mind letting everyone know where they can find out more about you and more about Electric Eye and, of course, Honest E-Commerce?
Absolutely. If you enjoy listening to my opinion on e-commerce, I share it weekly, but mostly I'm interviewing people, and I do a pretty good job at it. I think we just crossed 100,000 downloads last week. Go check out Honest E-Commerce. You can find it anywhere podcasts are. We're also on YouTube. We film them. And then if you think that you might be a good fit for the agency or just want to pick my brain about what's going on there, you can find us at electriceye.io.
Beautiful. Chase, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone who tuned in, obviously, thank you as well. Please do the usual, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you want, or YouTube, or head over to ecommshow.com. But as usual, thank you all again, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of The E-Comm Show.